Today, I'm down at Motorcar Portfolio in Canton, Ohio to look at this life-saving 1954 Packard ambulance. But before we take the tour, if you just stumbled upon this channel, I'd invite you to hit that subscribe button. Turn on all post notifications too by hitting the bell. Give us a like if you dig this video. Let's talk 1954 Packard ambulance. Needless to say, this was a custom job. Packard didn't build these specialty type vehicles at this point in time, like limos, ambulances, hearses, flower cars. Packard actually collaborated with Henny Motor Company. Let's talk about Henny Motor Company for a minute. Okay, we're not going to get into every single key point about the Henny Motor Company. All we're going to talk about is what they were. The Henny Motor Company was one, if not the best name in America known for funeral car trade. They were essentially a coach building company, sort of like Murphy or Fisher or Briggs, etc. Henny specialized in making limos, ambulances, hearses. This is kind of a side note. I've never seen one of these, and apparently only one of these exists, but the Henny Motor Company, they worked exclusively with Packard. But anyway, they wanted to make a prototype of a super wagon, and they did make one. It was in 1954. It used a long wheelbase, 159-inch wheelbase, Packard professional car chassis with a Henny ambulance body. And let me tell you, I have a cabinet business. I would buy one of these in a heartbeat and drive it because it's long. You could stick lots of big cabinets in it. Super cool looking. Okay, let's get back to the ambulance. So in 1953 and 1954, Henny offered a junior as well as a senior version of their ambulance, funeral car. Anyway, the junior version, budgeted price, it rode a 127-inch long wheelbase. It was priced at $3,333, and to keep the cost down, they used cheaper trim materials and just cheaper materials in general. But turns out, old Henny, apparently he wasn't good at math, or maybe it was because everything else that was going on at this point in time, he just didn't do the math right. So Henny made this budget model, the Junior Series ambulance slash, whatever specialty car they made besides the ambulance. He did this for his customers to save money. While he ended up paying $300, he ended up losing $300 on each junior model built. And that was about 3,000 of today's dollars. Just to give you a refresher, they were selling them in the very beginning for $3,333. That is equivalent to $35,622.71 roughly now. They had to hike up the price. They had to have a price increase to $4,333, which ended up killing the junior model. That price now would be equivalent to $46,310.59. Henny offered a longer 156-inch wheelbase model, which had 4 doors. Juniors only had 2 doors, plus a door in the back, so I guess 3 doors. And the 4-door model had 5 doors because it had a door in the back, so I guess a 3-door model and a 5-door model. Henny sold a total of 500 units between 53 and 54 of the Junior Series cars. In 1953, 380. 1954, 120. Most were sold to the government. Truth is, there was a lot at play behind the scenes at both Henny Motor Company. I have to apologize. I said Henny Motor Car Company a lot in previous slides. It's actually just the Henny Motor Company. And Packard. October 1st, 1954, Packard bought Studebaker, not knowing the financial turmoil that Studebaker was in. By 1955, Packard discontinued the long professional chassis with the long wheelbase, so they couldn't make any more limos, hearses, any specialty vehicles like that. Henny Motor Company actually kicked the bucket in 1954, so it didn't really matter. They went bankrupt, probably because of the Junior Series Henny Packard. It's crazy to think that only in a couple years down the line, Packard will fall on the sword, so to speak, to save Studebaker. It's crazy to think that at least they went out in a noble way. The Packard model underneath the Henny ambulance body, it's kind of confusing. It has the Packard Patrician tail lights and rear end treatment, but the instrument panel says Clipper, so it's a toss-up. It's probably a mixture of the two cars. All right, getting inside the 1954 Packard Henny ambulance. So just take a look at this door panel. Armrest here, door handle to get out. This is for the big window. So notice this, you have a spotlight, and this controls the spotlight and the mirror placement. The mirror is mounted right on the back of the spotlight. All right, let's walk through this dashboard. All the button switches and knobs. All the way to the left-hand side, there is a pressure gauge. I'm not exactly sure what the pressure gauge is for. I don't know if there's an onboard air compressor. That's what I would think it was for, but pressure gauge for something. Moving to the right, directly in front of the driver, sits two circular pods, and the one circular pod off to the left-hand side has two gauges in it. Fuel gauge, temperature gauge. There's an oil light at the bottom. The speedometer is in an arch formation with the Clipper logo insignia right below it. There's an odometer right below that. Generator light off to the right-hand side, as well as a clock. Notice that where the needles are, those are Packard emblems. That's pretty cool. Right below the temperature gauge is where your headlights are. In the center, that's where all your climate controls are. Glove box is a drawer. So that's really unique. I've never seen a drawer featured glove box. So that's what it looks like with me behind the wheel. This one has a lot of headroom. The most headroom that I've ever been in an older vehicle. Lots and lots of headroom. That's what over the hood looks like. Your view when you're driving this thing. So just check out, there's like little fins on the lights. Those look really cool. That siren and light. Notice how the glass curves coming back here. Got nice fins, as well as the lights look really cool back here. Look at this license plate light. It's huge. Getting in the back. Notice this door, how big it is. It also takes up part of the roof, and it's curved. It's curved just about everywhere. And inside, got a period correct stretcher. There's curtains. So if somebody's having a real medical emergency, you can shut all the curtains and kind of be isolated from the outside. There's a jump seat there, probably for the nurse. Sit. This is a door handle. This is a lock to lock the door in the back. So it's curved. It's curved this way, as well as at the top here. All right, under the hood of the Henny Packard sits a 327, not a V8. It's a inline 8-cylinder flathead, making 185 horsepower, and it's paired to an Ultramatic automatic transmission. 1954 was the last year for the straight 8 Packard. They offered two different engine variants. They offered the 327 in 3 different horsepower configurations: 150 horsepower, 160 horsepower, and 185 horsepower. Packard also offered a 359 inline flathead 8-cylinder producing 212 horsepower, and it had an aggressive compression ratio for a flathead engine, 8.7 to 1. This was the last year for the Packard straight 8s. 1955 Packards get V8s. Not the last company in the industry to do that. I think that was Studebaker in 1957. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. Okay, so on to the pros and cons. This car doesn't have a pros and cons list in the book that I usually get the pros and cons from. So I made my own pros and cons list. The pros, it's rare, it's unique. Only 500 were produced. Cons, it's rare. There's only 500 produced, only 120 of which are from 1954. So trim parts, special bright work and trim parts would be impossible to find. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, toodaloo!